April's looking like a pretty good month for gamers. We thought we'd go over some stuff to keep your eyes open for. I'm Falcon, and today on GameRanks, 10 games you're probably going to want to play in April 2018. Number 10 is Total War Saga: Thrones of Britannia, which represents a little bit of a new direction for Total War. I'd say inspired by the Attila game, because Saga is going to be taking a full-on track through history as the various games sweep through things that have happened in the past. They've made some pretty noticeable changes to the Total War recipe, so to speak. For instance, unit upgrades don't depend on buildings anymore. It's now based in technology. Factions experience weariness and fervor. This features basically a progression from Age of Charlemagne, which again goes back to Attila. The hero skill trees are just gone, and new roadblock type situations are going to crop up called dilemmas. Obviously, the core Total War gameplay is still there though, and frankly, I love the idea of doing more history-oriented games in this series, so bring it on. Total War Saga: Thrones of Britannia comes out April 19th. Number 9 is The Swords of Ditto, which is a game that I've been looking forward to for a little while now. It's an action RPG that comes off a lot like a half-minute hero, Zelda type, maybe 4 swords style romp, except for it's not 4 swords, it's 2, because it has 2-player co-op. Every time you play the game, it will give you a new version of the world, which, by the way, looks amazing due to an art style that is somewhat reminiscent of Adventure Time, but also different enough that I would call it its own. Now, the co-op is basically why I'm calling it reminiscent to 4 Swords. It really looks like the same kind of appeal to me, and that's sort of why I want to play it. I think between friends and relatives is going to be a really fun game for people, especially those who like Zelda, which is, a lot of people. The Swords of Ditto is coming to PC and PS4 on April 24th. Number 8 is Frostpunk, a survival game / city builder, which is an interesting combination of, I think, a couple of things that will work together pretty well personally. Obviously, the primary objective is not to freeze to death as you build a sort of steampunk city in the middle of a frozen wilderness and attempt to start basically a colony. I would suspect that you'll probably be reminded of games like Fallout Shelter if there were like a SimCity element to it. And that to me sounds like a good combination of games. It's something I want to get into, and I love the look of this game. It looks cool as hell. No pun intended. The developer previously made This War of Mine, which is of course a little bit like Fallout Shelter. One could even say a predecessor to, but you may also see some elements of Civilization in there. Like I said, a little bit of the SimCity. And honestly, it's something I'm quite excited for. It'll be something I am definitely going to sink some time into, assuming that it has any degree of depth. Frostpunk is coming to PC on April 24th. Number 7 is Battletech, which is coming to us from Paradox Interactive. It's a turn-based strategy game set in the classic Battletech world, which therefore it shares a world with the original board game. The studio responsible for this game is called Harebrained Schemes. I'm looking forward to this as it kind of brings some nostalgia, but it will be interesting to see exactly how updated the ideas are. Turn-based strategy is a different thing than it was back then, and that could either be exciting or a massive detriment. Battletech is coming to PC on April 24th. Number 6 is Super Darrow Deluxe, a game calling itself an RPG-vania, but it is very obvious to me that it is a platformer in the Metroidvania mold. There aren't a lot of cosmetic similarities, though the art style is very unique, and the gameplay looks pretty specific. There are a lot of things that I haven't really seen in a Metroidvania just in the trailer, including some goofier moves and some stuff that makes me think a little bit of Final Fight, but it looks to me like a pretty interesting idea. I'm most interested probably in seeing how the RPG elements play out in it, but the action looks pretty sound from what I've seen. Super Darrow Deluxe is coming to PC, PS4, and Switch on April 10th. Number 5 is Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire, the sequel to the Smash classic top-down isometric RPG game, which will continue the story from the first, both including original characters from the first and bringing new companions into the mix. An interesting addition, I think, is a sort of base building component. The base, however, will be mobile in the form of a boat, and you'll even be able to steal ships from enemies. Josh Sawyer, the design director on both games, said that one of the main things they wanted to do was address the amount of filler combat, bringing it down at least a notch, hopefully a little bit more, and are talking about the game being significantly larger than the original game. It's hard for me to imagine this game being bad considering how good the first is, It's coming to PC on April 3rd. Number 4 is Extinction, which is a really ambitious game that kind of looks like an arcade version of the movement in Assassin's Creed alongside fighting giant ogres. Now, to me, the appeal of this game is the fact that these ogres will be able to be attacked in various ways, the most enticing of which I think is lopping off their massive building-sized limbs. The game is built around the strategy of attempting to take one of these things down, and while it may sound odd for the developers of Killer Instinct to decide that this is what they want to do, but honestly it looks incredibly high quality and very interesting and original. Extinction is coming to PS4, Xbox One, and PC on April 10th. Number 3 is Yakuza 6, The Song of Life, which what else is there to say other than Yakuza is probably one of the most dense open world series that offers the most to do of probably the vast majority of open world games. It's kind of only recently games like Horizon Zero Dawn are starting to take cues from Yakuza, as a lot of people get a bit jaded by the very empty but vast open worlds that sell themselves on size alone. That's not to neglect the fighting system in the Yakuza games, which is somewhere between a fighting game and a brawler. It also includes Virtua Fighter 5 Final Showdown, Puyo Puyo, Outrun, Super Hang-On, Space Harrier, and Fantasy Zone. Yakuza 6, The Song of Life comes to PS4 on April 17th. Number 2 is the Nintendo Labo, which is not a game specifically, but rather a collection of games as a small cardboard platform that expands what the Switch can do, and in my opinion it's cool as hell. Using the IR blasters in the Switch pads to make various interactive toys, I think is absolutely awesome, but on top of that, it also is kind of an interesting idea depending on how open the platform becomes. I mean, you could end up with some absolutely wild things out of this, and I hope that is the case. Nintendo Labo comes on April 20th to the Switch, of course. And finally, the big one is, of course, God of War. I can think of few games that are as anticipated as this one, and this is going to be a big launch. Considering its console exclusivity, this is probably gonna be quite the phenomenon. God of War hasn't seen a new installment in a very long time, and this brings a lot of interesting ideas to the franchise, such as moving into a new era of mythology, giving Kratos a son, and giving Kratos a beard. Obviously, the beard will not impact the gameplay, but the son will. In my opinion, the God of War games still hold up today, so I'm really excited to see what the new additions bring us, and exactly how much more cinematic they can make it. God of War is coming to PS4 on April 20th. A few bonus games for you include Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice coming to Xbox One. It really sucks for Xbox One owners that such a phenomenal game has taken so long to reach their platform, but it's here April 11th and you folks need to try it. Next is Far Cry 3 Classic Edition, which is an updated version of the open world staple, and it's widely considered to be the best Far Cry, though let's just see how Far Cry 5 does. That's hitting PS4 and Xbox One on April 27th. Then we have Adventure Time Pirates of the Enchiridion, which is an open-world Adventure Time game which flat out looks amazing. That's hitting PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC on April 24th. And finally, South Park: The Fractured But Whole, the continuation of the previous South Park game with an enhanced battle system and a lot more quirks. Which game are you looking forward to most in April 2018? Leave us a comment, and if you enjoyed this video, please click like. If you're not subscribed, now would be, of course, a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week, and the best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription. As always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter @FalconTheHero, and we'll see you next time right here on GameRanks.